My first guest on Elementary is one of my favourite people, my sister Nikki, and she agreed to chat to me about some tools that we can use to help us when we're trying to change our daily habits. Nikki is a business coach, mentor and trainer, and she works with both private clients and education institutions. A lot of the principles that she teaches for use in a business environment can also be applied to help us with our work-life balance and the establishment of healthier daily habits. You can check out her website propeltogether.ie, and she's also on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram. I know that you're going to find her tips useful. So without further ado, this is my conversation with Nikki McGoohan about changing habits. So thanks a million, Nikki, for coming on. Just to pass on some of your good tips and advice when it comes to time management, because often when it comes to us trying to make changes to our lifestyle, whether it's nutrition wise, whether it's trying to fit in a little bit of exercise, or even get to bed earlier, we sort of think, oh, we don't have time. And then the day has gone past and our intentions, we haven't carried out any of our good intentions.
Yeah.
So when it comes to time management, do you have some tips that you can give us as where to start if you're trying to reorganize your time?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you very much for having me on your podcast. So I think sometimes when we think of time management, we think about our work day, when really it should be more of a holistic viewpoint. So you're looking at every area of your life, every aspect. And really it's looking at to see, am I being intentional in my day? Am I controlling my day, or is my day controlling me? So the beginning of everything, I think, is your self-awareness, and that's hugely important. So I would always say to people, spend a few days just being aware. It's not about giving out to yourself. It's not about, trying to make the changes straight away, but just notice where you're spending your time. And specifically, if people are looking at it from a work point of view, what are you doing during the day? And especially now, I think as well with people, more and more people working remotely, it's very hard to have that, that break maybe from your work to your life, or I'll just go back in and I'll do that for another 5 minutes and whatever. And then that takes precedence over what you had intended to do in the first place. Yeah. So the first thing I would say is just be self-aware and just spend a few days noticing how you're spending your time.
That's a really good point. And also I like what you said about not, beating yourself up about anything, because it's not about what you used to do. Okay, you need to start off with where you're at, but you don't want to be bringing forward any negative emotions about, regrets about what you used to do. And all that matters is really going forward, isn't it?
Noticing, because that's how you're going to make the real change.
Yeah.
And as well as that can lead, if you're spending your time berating yourself or giving yourself a hard time, you're actually increasing your procrastination, because oftentimes we're procrastinating over a specific task, but it's really about a feeling or an emotion to do with something else.
Yeah.
And that just feeds into it. So it's really important that you're just noticing, because this is your first step, and this is going to help you then make better decisions.
Exactly. So it's noticing without attaching any emotion to it, really.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So we'll say you sort of take note of how you're spending your time. Yeah. And I'm sure then you need to review it maybe and take a little bit of a critical look at it to see, well, what is necessary, maybe what isn't.
Exactly. So what I always say then is to look through it and then put, to mark them. So is what I'm doing what I need to be doing, first of all. Is it urgent? Where is it, on my to-do list? Am I doing it for me, or am I spending a lot of time doing things for other people that maybe I don't necessarily have to do? So I think the Stephen Covey tool is really, really good for this, the 4 quadrants. And it's just about plotting then within the quadrant. I'm sure, but we can put up the quadrant, can we?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I think the Stephen Covey's book, the 7 habits of effective managers or effective people. And one of the tools then is his 4 quadrants. So what I then get people to do is to plot within those quadrants. So a lot of time people are spending their time in quadrant 1 at the top, which is urgent. The second quadrant then to the right of that is not urgent, but important. And that's really where you want to be. So eventually when you get better at your time management, you should be spending more of your time there. And then the other quadrants are like, are they things that you can delegate to other people or eliminate from your day? And then where are you spending your time? Maybe you're spending a lot of time on social media, Facebook. And again, that's a thing we use when we're procrastinating as well, because it makes us feel better to be looking at, what everybody else is doing rather than what we should be doing. So that's a really good tool as well to use. And then from there, you can make some intentional choices. What can I eliminate from my day? Why am I procrastinating? Why am I spending my time on my phone rather than doing what I'm meant to be doing? So again, it's not about judging yourself. It's just about the awareness, because once we're aware about something, we can make the change.
Exactly. And so then when we've done that and we see when we're left with what we need to keep in our day, how can we plan to embed some new habits?
What I think as well is the next step I would do is to put on a calendar. So say you've got your monthly calendar, all the things that you have to do and where you have to do them. So then your brain doesn't have to really think about it then. So then you've plotted that, so you know then what time is available for the tasks that you need to fit in, maybe, or get into where you need to be. There's a law called Parkinson's law, and what he said is that whatever amount of time you're giving yourself to do a task is the amount of time that it's going to take. So like that, if you're going to, oftentimes we've had assignments to do or maybe work to do and you have 2 weeks to do it, it will take you the 2 weeks. So again, it's about being intentional about that. So having your start time and your finish time, especially if you are working from home. And I know that's, a lot of people say that, but it is so important. So if my work day, and maybe you can put it up into chunks. So maybe it's 9 to 11, take your break. But it's about plotting that time and deciding I'm going to spend X amount of hours doing this. If it's to do with your home life, I need to have this amount of time to do this. Within that as well, you're making sure that you're intentional. Because if you're not doing what you need to get done within that time frame, when you're with the people, outside of work or even in work, you're not fully present. You're not there. So, and then again, it goes back to an hour later, you're beating yourself up because you didn't spend time with somebody, or you didn't get to go to the gym, or I didn't make good habits. When I was, my eating habits weren't what they should be because I haven't given myself time to prepare my dinner. So I think it all feeds into it. So I would say decide, this is the time I'm spending on this particular task or whatever it is. And again, maybe sometimes you have to give yourself a shorter deadline if needs be. So that's what I would do then, is decide. Then again, if you're struggling with procrastination or just getting started, I really like the Pomodoro technique. And I think this is really important as well, because oftentimes we don't know how long it takes to do a task. So we might say, I have 5 minutes, I'll do such a thing, but the 5 minutes then isn't enough. So then what happens is you end up going back and repeating a task or starting a task again, which really might have only taken a block of 20 minutes, but now you're spending 3 hours on it because you're only getting to do it in bits and pieces. So I would always, if you don't know how long something takes you to do, I would time it. And the Pomodoro is a really good technique both ways. So basically you set yourself a particular time frame, it could be 25 minutes, 15 minutes, set the alarm on your phone, and then see where you are after that time frame. Take a little break, go back and do it again. And then as you build up your 15 or 20 minutes, you can then take a longer break at the end. So that's really good for two things. So first of all, because you might think 5 minutes and all of a sudden the 15 minutes is up and you said, oh my God, I never knew that took so long to do. And that's helping you give your information then further down the line to say, well, I've an hour here. I know which tasks I can complete within that hour.
Exactly. You're measuring so that you can plan better going forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think as well is planning your week. So on a Sunday evening or maybe Saturday evening, some people do it on a Friday evening so they don't have to think about it over the weekend, but deciding, what you're going to do the following week. Again, the brain loves repetition. So the less you need to give it to think about, the better. So whether it's coming to your food prep, your week, whatever activities you want to do outside of work, at least if you've planned them, and then you're looking at, some people are visual. I'm a visual person, so I might have my planner up somewhere. Put it somewhere noticeable, because that's going to, if in a room somewhere else, you're not going to look at it. So for a while, until you get in the flow of doing this, it's better to have it somewhere obvious so that you see it and it reminds you, oh yeah, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, sort of first thing every morning.
Exactly.
Get your day off to that good start. I remember hearing that Barack Obama had 2 colors of suits in his wardrobe, and he wore a navy suit one day and a dark grey the next day. So he didn't have to think about it. It's just exactly what you're saying there. There was one less decision he had to make in the day. Would you recommend even in your daily plan, that you even put in your time for relaxation, for
100%. It has to be. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, from a work point of view, you have to have your start and your finish time and make sure you stick to that. And again, even going back to with your, if you don't have the time planned and then you're feeling bad because you haven't done what you've said you'll do, you end up going back to your bad habits. So it's different maybe if exercise is your thing, but if you're the type of person who I am and you go back and I'm, feeling stressed or thinking I should have done that, I tend to eat what I shouldn't eat, So again, you're helping yourself in lots of different ways as well. So you're not going back to your bad habits. So I think planning your day like that, Barack Obama is very wise there, having his 2 suits. Yes. So lots of people do that. They'd have everything prepared the night before. But again, I think it's an holistic, because you can't, your day, you've 1,440 minutes in a day. You need to make sure that you're making the most of that. And that includes your family, your friends, whatever it is that you do outside of work, because that's really important from a mental health point of view.
Well, work-life balance makes you more productive at work anyway,
And I was reading something recently, actually, and they were saying about the balance. So everybody's balance is going to be different. Some people might enjoy working 12 hours a day, so it's finding your own balance, because there's lots of tips and tricks out there. And then, if it doesn't suit you, you start to get a bit disheartened. But I do think a morning routine as well is really important.
Yeah. And getting up, obviously, for the circadian rhythm, it's really important to be getting up at the same time every day and going to bed at the same time every day, obviously with the very odd exception, but as a general guide, it keeps the circadian rhythm in good order, and so contributes to better sleep as well. So just that Pomodoro technique is really interesting. And what you're saying is that it doesn't have to be, say, 25 minutes. It can be, you use it to test how long a task is going to take. So it can be 15, 30, and you set your timer for roughly what you think it's going to take.
Exactly. So I think that's really important, because again, that helps you plan going forward. As I said, lots of times, and lots for managers as well, it's a good technique to use, because oftentimes we don't know how our staff are spending their day, or you might think people have more time than they actually have. So it's just good to know how long the tasks take. And then on the other flip side of that, it's using it as a procrastination tool. So if I'm finding it hard to do a task, that I use that, I think, right, okay, I'm going to do this for 15, 20 minutes. And then you find you're in the flow, and it's easier to continue then as well.
So the other thing about planning is, and you referred to it earlier on, is that it means that you don't have to make as many decisions. So your head isn't as busy. And also when you have things down in black and white, you don't have to worry about forgetting to do something either.
Exactly. And that's really, really important. Again, it going back to your self-awareness, and then, feeding into the rest of your day, because if you've forgotten to do something, then you're going to miss out on doing something else. And one thing as well, when you're noticing what tasks, you have to do every day or every week or every month, whatever it is, notice your energy levels as well, because we're all different. Some people have more energy in the evening than they have in the morning. So by doing that, you can manage your tasks better. So say you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody. There's no point having it when you're down in the red. You want to have that when you're in the green. A difficult task that's going to take a lot of headspace. You want to do that when you've got more energy than not. And maybe then some of the tasks that don't have to, you're not using as much brain power, whatever it is, you can do them towards the end of the day, wherever you are on that level of where your energy is.
Yeah. So you're personalizing your plan.
Exactly.
In every way. And so I obviously always talk to people about the 4 pillars of their health, so that's the relaxation, movement, nutrition, and sleep. So basically that can, if you have a weekly plan, that is one way of measuring that you're giving priority to all 4 as well, because you can see in black and white, what if you've maybe haven't put in any relaxation time at all, or if you haven't taken any exercise, because the day's so fast.
Exactly. And then again, that becomes a habit, because you have your plan, and unbeknownst to yourself over time, then you start to stick to it. Your brain doesn't have to think about it, and then you miss it then if you don't do it.
Exactly. Great.
So there's some really good tips there. Thank you so much. I think they're
Very
really,
welcome.
obviously you can apply them to your professional and your personal life. So, and actually taking a holistic view can help people in every way in terms of their professional life as well. You know,
Exactly.
focusing on work too much can obviously leave people burnt out. And obviously then stress impacts their decisions when it comes to their health as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
there is another principle called the progress principle. And what that states is that when you start to see yourself making progress, it actually helps your inner self, as in your motivation. You start to feel better. And by default, then you become more productive.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to Nikki for her time and for her fantastic tips. And now for today's store cupboard staple. So today's store cupboard staple is a delicious and truly nutrient dense little fruit, blueberries. These have been known to protect against heart disease, cancer, and also help maintain bone strength, mental health, and healthy blood pressure, and also prevent diabetes. And of course, all of this is in the context of an overall healthy diet. So what are these nutrients that blueberries contain? So first of all, they contain a plant compound called anthocyanin. And this is a flavonoid, which is an antioxidant, a really powerful antioxidant. And it's the anthocyanin that gives blueberries their blue color. So, and it has the amazing health benefits as well. So first of all, to say, if you can, of course, buy organic. It's always better to buy organic, but it's not always possible. So if you can't buy organic, you can wash them in a mixture of 10 parts water and 1 part apple cider vinegar. So that can help to clean them well. And then obviously rinse them again. Store them dry them off and store them in your fridge, and they'll stay good for a few days. So in terms of the benefits that we've mentioned, we'll go back to say why, how do they help our bones? So they contain iron, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, and vitamin K. And all of these are components of our bone. So the iron and the zinc, for example, they are crucial in maintaining the strength and elasticity of our bones and our joints. And also, so we need adequate vitamin K to make sure that our calcium is absorbed up from our blood. We often think that we just need calcium to keep our bones healthy, but we need some other vitamins and minerals to help that calcium work for us. So the vitamin K will help for the calcium to be uplifted into our bones and absorbed, to reduce the risk of calcium loss. And of course, really important, we don't want to develop osteoporosis as we get older. So blueberries are good for skin health because they contain vitamin C. And vitamin C helps to prevent skin damage because it helps our collagen production. And collagen has the ability to, prevent wrinkles and enhance our skin's overall texture. So really anti-aging, which of course we're all interested in. In terms of the diabetes that we mentioned, of course, fruit and veg. Blueberries aren't the only fruit or vegetable to contain fiber. So making sure that you're getting enough fiber in the day is really important because fiber helps to slow down the release of glucose into our blood. So it helps to keep our blood sugar balanced, but also really important for our digestion. So having adequate fiber in our diet can help prevent constipation and make sure that we are regular. We mentioned heart disease as well. So blueberries contain fiber, potassium, folate, vitamin C, vitamin B6, and their phytonutrients all support heart health. So the fiber helps to reduce the total amount of cholesterol in our blood, which, as we know, helps decrease the risk of heart disease. And vitamin B6 and folate, which is vitamin B9, they prevent the buildup of a compound known as homocysteine. And excessive buildup of homocysteine in the body can damage our blood vessels, and that, of course, leads to heart problems. In terms of, our preventing or supporting reducing the risk of cancer, vitamin C and vitamin A and the phytonutrients in blueberries, they are powerful antioxidants, and that may help to protect our cells against damage from free radicals. So antioxidants may also help decrease inflammation in the body. So there is an aggregate nutrient density index, and this index rates foods based on their vitamin and mineral content and their phytochemical composition, and how many antioxidants they have. So foods with the most nutrients per calorie, so that's nutrient density, they have the highest rankings, and blueberry are among the top fruit and vegetables for nutrient density. So it's definitely worth making sure that you include them in your shopping trolley. Now you can obviously buy them frozen as well. I would recommend making sure if you can buy locally produced blueberries. Always wash them well if they're not organic, and we can do so many things with them, including obviously having them on our breakfast. So for example, I load them on my porridge, or if I have an overnight oats, I'll always have a handful of blueberries on that. You can add them onto a salad. You can also, if you're having pancakes, having any dessert, you can add some blueberries too. I'll pop them into, if I'm making a fruit mixture for a crumble, I can pop them into that. But I'll also include some recipes. I have blueberry muffins, and also a blueberry loaf, blueberry bread as well. So I'll pop some links to some recipes into the notes. And as I say, these are such a nutrient dense little fruit. Even popping them into smoothies, there's so many ways that you can use them. Keep them handy, make sure they're washed and ready to use, and it's a really simple way to increase the nutrient density in your meal plan.